I'm
Yeah.
seeing 15
It's
million euros. That's very cheap for Gio
yeah,
Reyna.
it's ridiculously cheap. He was like the next big thing a few years ago. And even if he's not had much game time, he's still been kind of playing in and around the Dortmund team, getting goals here and there. Yeah, I think if the money's there, we've got to go for it. The problem is that everything that Unai has been saying is that it's going to be quiet window and that there's going to have to be sales if we're going to make signings and stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I
but I
mean, it
feel
makes
like
sense. Bertrand Traore is probably not going to be too dissimilarly priced to Gio Reyna if he's going to be 12.9 million.
yeah, I mean yeah, if we can sign Gio Reyna for 12 mil, then it won't be a
Amortization
problem
as well.
because we can get Traore gone for around that. You would think 10 ish,
Well, yeah, I'd say it's probably less than 10,
5, 10.
more than 5. But the thing
Yeah,
is, that all counts for this season if amortization is over 4 or 5 years, whatever the contract is, if we did sign Rayner. That would be far
yeah,
less than that. So, yeah, it would work out. But anyway, should we get into the meat and potatoes of the video? I haven't done the intro yet, but I've started recording, so I'll just say essentially we're just going to go through each team's completed deals or close to complete deals, and just give some opinions on it, whether they need it, whether it's a good signing, good sales, and then we'll probably dive into a bit more depth in terms of Villa rumours at the end. So if you're a Villa fan, stick around for that. But anyway, starting off, Arsenal, not much to report here. There's obviously been links to Louise and there's been links to Zubamendi, but nothing really concrete has happened in any sense there. So really, we've got to discuss the only confirmed bid they've made, which was I think 22 million for Borja Mayoral, which got rejected. Um,
hmm
he would be a solid signing for them. He's been performing well this year. Decent, sort of number 9 in stature, not just in performance as well. So yeah, I don't know what his connection is with Arteta, if they've ever sort of played or trained together in any way. But it would have been interesting to see. Unfortunately, I don't think. Well, I say unfortunately, they're kind of probably more fortunate that they don't do it from a Villa perspective. But they're probably not going to fork out the money for him because I think they want upwards of 40 million for him, and that's just not something Arsenal I think are going to be willing to do in January. Although I have heard they may pay the release clause for Zubamendi in January, which doesn't make sense if they haven't got the money
yeah. I
for
don't know.
Mayoral.
It's unclear. Obviously what their financial situation is and how much they're looking to change the team and how much they're looking to spend. But they've been rumored to be linked with some sort of fairly expensive signings, like Zubimendi, Mayoral, and obviously Tony. But that's not going to happen now.
Yeah, there was big
Um,
rumours about Spinazzola as well, which was more of
yeah,
a kind of necessary signing for them. But again, that's fallen quiet. Um, the other kind of signing that has been talked about is I think their deal, their option to buy Raya has been either verbally agreed or sort of confirmed in some way behind closed doors. I've been hearing about.
yeah,
Whether that means they pay the money in January or they have just agreed to pay it by the end of the season, I don't know. But it looks like that is going to become permanent.
yeah. I think that was kind of expected anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Because
pretty much.
he's been performing and he's been in the first team and stuff, so that was kind of expected. But yeah, I mean, I'm reading here that it's been reported that they don't have the funds for Mayoral's release clause, which is 22 million. So if they don't have the funds for that, then it's
Well,
looking
no,
like
they offered 22 million. I think the release clause is more.
oh right, okay.
Yeah.
But we don't know
Um,
what the release clause is.
no, maybe it's somewhere out there, but I can't remember it myself. Should we move on
Yeah,
to
but well,
Villa?
either way,
Well,
they don't have a lot of wiggle room to do anything.
yeah,
So
yeah. Well,
um,
you
yeah,
wouldn't imagine so with that 200 billion spend.
no, and Villa are in a kind of a similar situation, really. Um,
Yeah, I think we do have a little more room to play, but I think we want to save it for necessary signings. If we can pick up young players like we've been linked to, and like we're probably about to sign, then I think it's fair enough. But Yeah, we're not looking for anyone to come in and start right away, despite what some of the rumours were looking like sort of late last year. What has been confirmed though, we brought Kessler Hayden back, potential right back cover there. Finazaz came back and got sold. Ben Cresceni went out on loan to Blackburn Rovers. Hopefully that'll be a great place for him. They play
Yeah,
decent
that's
football
a
there.
promising one.
Kerr Smith has gone out to St Johnstone. Hasn't started yet, but again, I think once he starts getting game time, if any rumour of the level of talent that he had is true, then he'll probably stick. They'll probably stick with him. So on to someone we have actually looks like we signed. Supposedly he'll have completed his medical by tomorrow. Costa Nedeljkovic, or how I don't know how
I
they
think
pronounce it.
Nedeljkovic.
Yeah, could be
I think it's
Nedeljkovic.
a
Could be
silent J.
could be Nelkovic. Maybe I don't know. Maybe a silent D. But see, you're childish as well. You're childish as well.
You started laughing before me. I'm just laughing at
Yeah,
your
yeah, yeah,
childishness.
sure. But yeah, he looks like a physically imposing, aggressive, quick right back, which is really, really good if you're going to be playing in the Premier League. From the highlights, he does look like he's got a really good timing for his tackles, very physically aware and spatially aware, which is good. Could improve on his ball playing, perhaps on his end product, but he's 18, playing in Serbia. I'm sure that'll develop with time. I think the most important thing is, if you need him to come in and be solid and just give the ball to another player, he can do that.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly got the physicality needed, and that's obviously what they seem to be prioritizing with this. It reminds me a little bit of Duran, to be honest, because Duran was so raw, clearly talented, but the main thing that you can point to that he definitely has got is the physical profile, and it seems to be something that they're identifying as whether it's something that the team needs or whether it's something that the Premier League or playing in the Premier League needs a certain profile of physical
I thought you
player.
were going to say the Premier League needs. Like, we need this 18-year-old. And they've just been like, right, one of you clubs fucking sign him.
The Premier League demands that we sign this Serbian young player. No, the Premier League demands potentially a certain physicality of play.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, he played for Red Star against Man City in the Champions League this year. Played really well. So yeah, it's a promising one. We don't see Villa make those kind of signings very often. Uh,
Yeah.
Very cheap, somewhat unknown. Obviously, high potential. He's going back on loan to Red Star for the rest of the season, and
Yeah.
then I don't know what will happen in summer. Whether he'll be a backup option to Cash or to whoever if we sign a new right back, or whether he maybe will get another loan. Because if we signed another, say we signed Frimpong, it seems like we're going to be in the market for either a starting right back or another option, another kind of rotation option at first team. So if we did sign Frimpong, it'll be interesting to see whether we've kind of financed that with the sale of Cash or whether we have Cash and Frimpong rotating and then send Nedeljkovic out on loan
Well,
again.
I've got a little
Um,
theory. Even if we do manage to sign Frimpong over the other suitors, which I doubt, but it could happen, for the 34 million that's sort of been bandied about as his release clause, that's probably not going to put too huge a dent in our budget for next summer. What we could do is potentially, if Costa, it's obviously being loaned out and Kessler Hayden's been brought back, we may give Kessler Hayden the game time and keep him. I know it. Generally, we've been looking like when players are getting to that sort of 20, 21 kind of age as youth players, if they're not ready for the first team, we're just selling them. But in this case, I think it could be a special case where we don't want to bring in someone right now to play right back, but we would like to sell him. So if we bring him back as backup and he gets the odd few minutes here and there and impresses, especially in an attacking sense, he's a good dribbler, he's good at taking on his man, he's fast as well. That could really up his value if he's doing that in the Premier League or even in the Conference League. Right now he's probably worth no more than 3 or 4 million at most. If you give him a decent half season in the Premier League, you could probably sell him for 10 to 15. In which case, then that partially funds the Frimpong move and also makes space for Costa to come in as well. And potentially, I mean, if you really wanted to, you could sell Cash, but Cash has been loyal. He's been a great performer for the most part over the years, and does continue to improve. So I'd rather not sell him if possible.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'd rather not see cash sold. It just, I don't know. I could see um, if we have to, we'll sell. I think we would sell first team players if it came down to it.
Yeah,
If they were the right players and it was the right money, I think cash is one that we could potentially see go if somebody comes in with the right money for him. But yeah, I didn't know about Kessler Hayden. I was expecting it to be recalled and then instantly sold out somewhere else. I thought there maybe already be a deal in place or something, or maybe a different loan because I don't know, maybe a different loan because it wasn't suitable for whatever reason. Um, but obviously, haven't really heard anything more. So I'd be surprised if he was coming in as a backup option for the rest of the season. But um, at the same time, we are light there, especially in the Conference League games.
yeah.
Uh, could be useful.
My main motivator behind that opinion was more the timing of it. If we'd have brought him back 1st of January, I would have been quite happy to believe that we were selling him. But for us to leave him there all the way up until all of a sudden we're signing another right back, I think perhaps there's been plans in place about what they were going to do in terms of right back, or they've been thinking about what they were going to do, and then they reached a decision and actioned it all at the same time, and made the approach for Costa and decided to bring Kane Kessler Hayden back at the same time as part of what their sort of plans are for filling that right back deficit. Um, so that's just my thinking. If we just cover the last player I've got on my list, we have supposedly made an offer for Mario Hermoso on a free to come in next year. He would be essentially uh, Pau Torres version 2. He offers pretty much all the same traits. He plays pretty much the exact same position with the added bonus of being able to cover at left back. Has played under Simeone for like a decade. One of the best, if not the best, defensive side in Europe on average for that period. So absolutely would not and cannot complain about that, other than the fact that it does spell the end for Tyrone Mings.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this one a few days ago. It's gone a bit quiet though. It was probably
Mm,
like 4 or 5 days ago I saw this, and then I didn't hear anything about it.
yeah,
Um, so maybe there's nothing in it, but yeah, he's a Pau Torres version 2, like you say, perfect replacement for him or rotation option for him on a free as well. We can't complain. European experience, etc., etc. Yeah, looks like it would be a great signing, but yeah, the Mings thing. I hadn't really thought about the Mings thing. Um,
well, there is the added additional sort of side note that he can obviously play left back, and with Konza playing this sort of tucked in, rather defensive fullback version where he can roam forward if needed, you wouldn't be surprised if we did sign someone to play a similar role on the other side, which he could do, and that would leave a space to then sell one of our left backs, our more attacking left backs, which has been rumoured with both of them in recent weeks. So there could be that option as well. I'm not really sure, but
Maybe. I mean, to be
yeah,
fair, I think if we did sign another centre, I mean, because I think we still would. To be fair, and I think because four centre backs in a squad is fine, but it's still a little bit thin. If one of those centre backs gets a major injury, you then don't have direct backup for that position. Like with Mings, we had Mings and Torres for that left centre back position. Mings got injured, so we did have to sign Longley. Um, if you go into a season with four centre backs, one of them gets a serious injury, you still probably need to sign another one on loan or something for
yeah,
backup to your backup.
it's just yeah,
Um,
it's the profile that matters the most because we talked about this with like a backup striker. It's one of those positions where you for a backup centre back you can get away with possibly getting someone decent because you can always say to them, well, you're playing a back three, or you can play at left back, etc. But if you're going to say you're backup to backup, then it's really got to be a young player or someone who's desperate for game time.
yeah, well, that's what I mean about Mings, though. I think if we signed Hermoso, he'd be the direct backup replacement to Pau Torres because he's the perfect profile of signing, and then Mings. can be when he comes back to fitness. Mings can be that kind of backup to backup. Whether he'd be happy with that, he might want to leave, and that would be fair enough.
Yeah, I think he'd
Um,
leave.
you
Just
think he would?
oh yeah, to go from captain all of a sudden down to third choice in your position. I just think like as much loyalty as he might have, if a club doesn't show the loyalty in you, you've got to go. And especially for his career,
Yeah, to be
he's
fair.
kind of up until he got injured, he was sort of teetering on the edge, in and out of that England squad. Um,
Yeah,
I wouldn't see him being happy with that at all.
yeah, no, that's fair. Um, yeah, I don't know. Don't know how I feel about that really. It would might just be one of those inevitabilities that is sad, but you can't really do anything about.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, let's not focus on Villa too much because again, we are going to discuss most of the rumours when we get to the end of this episode. Let's move on to Bournemouth then. Only one official move made there. Well, actually, there might be a cut. There was Joe Rothwell to Southampton, but I don't really know enough about him to comment.
no,
But
and Hamad Traore left as well.
yeah, that's the only
Um,
real distinct move that they've made, which could affect their season. I know he didn't play much, but he is a good quality player. Has he gone to Napoli? Is it, or am I
yeah,
mistaken? Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, he'll get good experience out there. Whether or not they bring him back to play next season, or if it's just a case of trying to drum up some more value in him before they sell him, I'm not sure. But again,
yeah. I don't know.
yeah, I don't think it's going
Kind
to
of
affect their
strange for
season
Napoli to
too
be loaning a
much.
player from Bournemouth.
Yeah, it's weird. He has fallen out of favour, but Semenyo is out as we were talking about earlier. Uatara's going to be out on international duty as well. I think perhaps that just means Iraola just doesn't rate him. Um,
Yeah, to be honest, yeah.
so yeah, unfortunately there weren't really any distinct sort of stories about Bournemouth being close to signing anyone. But maybe they've had
No, I
rumours.
couldn't
But
see anything.
like, if we go through every little rumour you can find, we're going to be forever. So yeah, I think unlucky Bournemouth fans. There's nothing much happening for you. Although I suppose you did spend a lot in the summer, didn't you? Or at least over the last couple of windows.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. They're kind of in a situation a little bit like Villa, really, where they've obviously got places where they could improve the team, but they're in a really good moment. They've got a kind of settled squad and stuff, so there's no necessity for them to go out and
Yeah,
change things massively. They had a big summer and they're playing well, so yeah, they don't need to do too much.
yeah. Right. Another player I wanted to look at. Basically, they've signed this guy Kanak from I think Sevispor for an undisclosed fee. Brentford. I've moved on to Brentford without saying anything. Yeah, moving on to Brentford. They've signed a guy called Kanak from I think it was Sevispor, um,
Yeah, I saw
who
this.
I know nothing about. So I'm just trying to find him, and I just can't find him on FBref to look at him. Have you been able to see much? Have you found much out about this guy?
No, I don't know anything about him. It's from Sivasspor.
Yeah, perhaps he's a youngster that we just aren't aware of. I suppose Brentford do like to sign their youngsters, so fair
Yeah, well,
enough.
he's 18 from
Oh,
yeah,
okay, yeah,
signed from Turkey. He's 18, so
yeah. Probably not even worth having a conversation about because
I
we don't
mean,
know.
knowing Bradley, he could quite easily come straight into the first team. We might have some information on him soon, but yeah, no, don't know anything about him.
Yeah, but yeah, as we say, they've signed Regulon, so he's going to be great cover for Rico Henry in that position.
Yeah, well, Rico is
Perhaps,
Rico Henry injured?
yeah, I'm pretty sure
I think
he's long-term
got injured
injury.
at the start of the season, didn't he?
Perhaps they're
Um,
quite a similar profile in terms of their sort of relatively small, speedy left wing backs. So he would suit that Brentford system. It's a good signing from their perspective. I
yeah, very
mean,
good signing, I think.
fills the gap in their squad that I think they've really missed this year. And then with
Yeah,
Tony coming back as well, you are starting to see things sort of slot back into place a little bit for Brentford, and perhaps they can pick things up a bit. They've also been linked with Whitaker. I think I can't remember which team he plays for. Is it Plymouth or something? Um, but he's been having a very
don't
good
know.
season
Yeah,
in the Championship. I'm not really sure where he plays, but all I know is they're looking at this great Championship player. Don't know much about him, and it's hard to say whether he'd be able to perform straight away. Probably not. Um, can you find anything about Whitaker.
Oh well, I've just googled him. Don't even know who the hell you're talking about.
All right, look, give me like 3 seconds and I'll find out.
I
I'll
mean,
find out.
the one thing you can say about Brentford, even if you've not heard of the players they're signing, is that they're usually pretty smart. Um, so,
Right, Morgan Whitaker, yeah, at Plymouth. He's
oh,
a
okay,
winger.
I do know the name.
14 goals, 5 assists, 23 years old. Um, right winger, left-footed, probably coming in to replace Mbuemo for the latter part of the season. Wouldn't cost them an arm and a leg. Of course, Plymouth being quite a small club and only just promoted to the Championship. So, I mean, yeah, from the perspective of it being a Brentford signing and their history with bringing players up from the Championship and through the ranks and building them up, I'd back that to be successful, to be fair.
Sounds bloody good, to be honest. I mean, 14 goals in the Championship. He's 23. He's played for England youth teams a load.
Has he? Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like a good signing. I mean, Brentford, yeah, like I said, Brentford are always smart. They're always kind of practical with their signings. They tend to sign players who they know will have impact. He's probably not going to blow the world away, but pretty sure he'll be functional and good. Um, but yeah, it'll be good to have
Did you mix
Brentford.
up two sayings there? Like, not blow us away, but he's not going to set the world alight. He's not going to blow the world away.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. What's wrong with that?
Oh, right, fine. Spoil my fun. Why don't you, Matt? Spoil my fun. Anyway, talking of teams that recruit well and for low money, Brighton have gone and signed one of the most promising fullbacks in the world, to be fair, for a fee of I think of 7 or 8 million, or it's about to go through. Valentin Barco, out of believe he was at Boca Juniors. Really, really good talent. A lot of noise about this kid. You know, Bayern, Barcelona, City. I think we're all
Yeah,
interested.
I remember City being interested in him at one point.
Yeah, and yeah, but he's gone to Brighton, and I think yeah, it's a rotation option with Purvis Estupiñán. That left
Yeah,
back slot is looking bloody good, and I
yeah.
suppose you
How do they
might
do that,
say
man?
yeah that you might. Well, I think they've just got that like that X factor when it comes to signing players. Of if you come here, no matter how young you are, if you're good enough, you're going to get in the team, and big teams will shop for you here. Like it's just that weird extra selling point
Yeah,
that they've got, and that
yeah,
could also speak to the fact that perhaps they're ready to let Estupinian go. Where he goes, probably going to end up being Arsenal. To be fair, um,
yeah. I can see that.
but there you go. Looks good. Another great bit of business from Brighton. They've let a few players go out on loan, notably Ayari and Sarmiento, probably the better known players of the youngsters they've let go out on loan. But yeah, they weren't getting too much game time, so nothing crazy to talk about there. Uh, oh, hey Boo, what's up? She started whining. I'll have to let her out. You tell me all about Brighton and Burnley.
Right. Well, yeah. Burnley have signed Fofana on loan from Chelsea is the big one.
Oh yes, I like this kid.
Um, yeah, Burnley definitely could use a centre forward. Um,
He
Obviously, a young
looked,
player, so you're not really
yeah,
guaranteed output, but he's probably an improvement, like talent wise. He's probably an improvement on anything they've got. Um,
yeah, definitely.
yeah,
He's
promising one for them, I think.
Yeah, I remember the few minutes that he got at Chelsea before he was sort of loaned out and other players came in, and he did look really promising. Looked really useful. I think he's 2-footed. He's quick. He's strong. He's good in the air. He's got everything you want really, and if you can give him enough game time, give him a run, and let him get comfortable, I think yeah, there's no reason why he can't really produce.
Yeah, it's a decent one. I haven't heard anything else in terms of rumours for Burnley.
No, there's not much going on. They did let Twine. They recalled him from Hull because obviously Fabio Carvalho's come in there, and he's
Yeah,
gone out. I think to Bristol City. Um,
yeah, yeah,
so there's that. But yeah, nothing crazy again for Burnley. Just yeah, another good young striker coming in that potentially could help their struggles in front of goal.
yeah. So Chelsea,
Yeah,
they've got
obviously yeah, we
they've
just talked about. Fatro.
Yeah, they've loaned Fofana out. They've loaned Ian Matson out. Um,
Yeah, Mertson was one I backed for a potential move to the Premier League, but
yeah, could have.
it's not
Yeah,
happening.
he was kind of. It was on the cards that he was going to go on loan somewhere.
Is there an option to
Yeah,
buy
gone
in
to
that? Do you know?
Dortmund. I don't know actually.
I wouldn't be
Uh,
surprised. That would be a very Dortmund kind of move to put an option to buy in there and take him for
yeah.
like 15 mil and then sell him for about 50 in a couple of years. They brought back Andres Santos as well from Nottingham Forest. I think that's fair enough. They do need midfield cover, and if they are going to sell Gallagher like it's rumored to be,
Mm.
um, then yeah, they've got a ready-made, probably not as good, not same profile, but ready-made replacement at least. He's definitely got a lot of talent, but whether he'll produce in this Chelsea team, you don't know because pretty much every player in this young player in this Chelsea side's got a lot of talent, but you know, as
Yeah, it's not
everyone
really
knows,
an indicator.
it's not necessarily going to change the game. Um, so yeah, any have you heard any solid news about rumours in or
Well,
out?
they've Broja is been rumored to leave.
Oh yeah, he has.
They've
Fulham
obviously
is the main.
he's kind of on the fringes a little bit. He's young. He's at the point where he needs game time, and also he's an academy product, so they'd get good money for him in terms of financial fair play and stuff. Um, so yeah, Fulham, Wolves. I've read that Villa have been following him for a while, but obviously we're not going to put out the money that they want for him. They apparently want 50 million, which is a little bit. Um,
20 at most.
really, I think he's
Yeah,
worth more than 20. To
yeah.
be
I
honest,
think if he'd
they're not.
had regular game time and been scoring goals like he was at Southampton, then you could ask for more. But because of the injuries and the lack of game time, and the fact he hasn't scored any goals really, and the fact they need to sell him, as a buying club with that kind of leverage, I wouldn't offer more than 20.
Well, yeah, I mean the clubs that are interested in him, I can't see forking out 50 million for him.
Yeah,
I think if it was Villa and we were going for a kind of backup striker, I think he'd be a good option. But I think I wouldn't want us to pay more than maybe 30. I think I'd go to 30.
I don't
He
know.
did have a
He's
very good
23
season
now,
at
isn't he?
Southampton. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
22. He's 22.
he kind of there's some red flags there for me in terms of how he's not really developed over since he went to Southampton. He kind of just had a bit of a good spell, and it wasn't even like he set the world alight while he was there. Like he just looked good and scored a few goals. Like it's it's all hype at the moment for me until he actually has a period of starting games and scoring goals. I just can't see it. Um, there's talent there, but again, as we just spoke about, that's not really an indicator of anything at this point with the way the Premier League goes. But Fulham are the main suitor, as I've heard. They're in for Chalobah as well, but we'll get onto that. Should we move on to Palace? Unless you've got any more big rumours you can
Well,
speak to.
I mean, they've been rumored to be in for Duran. Uh,
Yeah, there's no
I think
solid.
it's kind of bollocks, to be honest. I just don't think we're going to be interested in selling Duran unless Chelsea came in with a massive amount of money.
Well, it's supposed to be a loan. What there's
Oh
been
yeah, of
rumoured,
course,
but
yeah, yeah. I mean,
there's
there's
been
no
no
reason we'd
approach.
loan Duran out because we just have to go out and sign another striker, which I don't think we want to do at this point in January. I think maybe in summer when we got more time to devote to that kind of signing, sure. But yeah, I don't think there's anything in that really. And then they have signed a player called Dujuan Richards.
Oh, I've not heard of this. Is he a teenager?
He's 18, Jamaican.
Oh,
Um,
never mind then.
he'll
We'll let
probably go in the
him.
academy, but
Yeah, we'll let him
he's
just go on loan somewhere or whatever.
probably he looks promising though. I saw a few clips of him, and he's made quite a few appearances for the Jamaica national team. Um,
Okay. What one player I would like to ask about is Kendry Payers. Have you watched any highlights of him?
uh,
I think he's Ecuadorian.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Well, there's a lot of hype about him that he's 16. They've signed him for like 18, 20 million, which is probably a record fee for someone of 16 years of age, if I'm not mistaken. And they've also got him a private security team rolling him about in. It is Ecuador, isn't it? I think it is. Um, yeah, they've got a private security team for him rolling about with him and his family because of the unrest going on at the moment in that country. So they
Right.
clearly rate him and want him to make it safely to the club. So there you go. Um, Moving on to Crystal Palace. Some big rumours of them looking at options to sign Phillips to come in and replace the
Yeah.
injured Doucouré. Honestly, that to me sounds like a perfect fit. I couldn't see anything wrong with that at all in any way.
No, no, I agree.
I think it'd be
Looks
great for them.
pretty, pretty good match. Pretty straightforward. The only thing with the Phillips transfer is that I've seen stuff like Newcastle are going to struggle to do it because of the money that City want. That would be the only thing standing in Palace's way. But
I heard
Palace
they
do
were
occasionally
interested
come
in
up
a
with big
loan.
money.
Yeah, I
I
heard
mean,
it.
yeah, even if it was a loan, you'd expect there to be an option to buy.
Yeah, I
I
think
think.
West Ham are interested as well.
Yeah, again, I could see that. I think Phillips would probably have a better time at Palace, to be honest.
Yeah, no,
Um,
as we say, that's a perfect fit for him. There wouldn't be huge competition for that DM spot. He could easily play alongside a Doucouré. So yeah, great move
yeah,
if
linking up
you
with
ask
Eze
me.
and Elise as well. It sounds pretty nice. Sounds like a pretty good midfield to me.
Yeah, and just to mention, they have had. Well, I don't know if it was a formal bid, but they have been told that the 30 million they were willing to pay for Nketiah will not be accepted. So
Yeah, I didn't see this.
potentially they are looking for a striker in this window. Whether they'll offer more for Nketiah or not, I don't know. I don't see it being likely just because Arsenal clearly don't have the funds to sign a striker this window. So if they let go of Nketiah, then they are looking at a very thin squad from a frontline perspective.
Yeah, it's a bit like Duran. To be fair, it's like they're probably not dead set on keeping Nketiah for the long term. Um, but at the same time, he's useful backup for them, and it's just going to be too much of a pain in the ass for them to sign someone else
Yeah,
if the money's
academy
not
product as well. So
outstanding. Yeah,
I mean, to be fair, if you're selling a player like Nketiah who's from the academy for 30 mil, that does give you decent wiggle room to sign someone else, especially if you're bidding 22 million for Borja Mayoral and his actual price is going to be somewhere upwards of 40 to 50. That 30 million from Nketiah does actually give you the freedom to go and sign him. Whether they've also just heard from Mayoral that he just doesn't want to come or something, I don't know. But uh, financially, it kind of makes sense. But of course,
yeah,
it's
you
not
it would
probably
it
not
would
worth the
facilitate
risk.
a move, but
Yeah,
it's just a risky one in January. There's Nketiah's bedded into the team. He knows how the team plays. He can come off the bench and kind of do a job for them. There's no guarantee that a new player in January does that. In summer with a pre-season, yeah, it makes sense, but it's quite risky from a practical point of view. I think for a club to do that in Jan.
yeah, definitely. Um, Everton, literally just Dan Juma leaving. That's about it.
Yeah, he's not actually gone there, has he? Or is that
I mean, it looks like he's about to go.
right? Did he start against us?
No, I think he came off the bench,
Right.
or did he? I can't remember. I was almost annoyed at you for a moment when I was watching the Everton game because in our build-up, you mentioned that McNeil was injured and that Danjuma was going to Leon. So in my head, they weren't going to be there for the game. So that's like, oh, they'll have no threat in behind because they wouldn't be. And then they turn up to the game and they're both there. I'm like, bloody hell, Matt! You
Yeah,
deceived me here.
Danjuma started and McNeil came on for him.
Yeah,
I
you knob.
mean that's entirely on you for taking anything I said at face value because I didn't ask Sean Dyche about it myself. I'm just going off what I read in the fucking newspapers, same as
Fair enough.
any random bastard on the internet. So
Fair enough. All right.
um,
Yeah, not much going on there. There's been
no,
rumours
nothing
about
Everton.
Anana leaving, but nothing concrete, so you can't really say
No,
much. No one's going to pay the kind of money it would cost in January. So
no.
yeah, I think they're going to be pretty steady. Just try and survive from that relegation scrap. I was see, I was backing them earlier in the season to refine that form and finish mid-table. And I think I'm still backing them to do better than they are now. But this run of poor form has extended a bit longer than I was expecting.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's what, three losses and a draw. Um, Pretty poor, but I think yeah, it won't be like extended to the point where they will be in a relegation battle come the end of the season. But yeah, they'll make. I don't know whether they'll make it to mid-table, but like 13th, 14th, I could see happening.
Yeah, they're certainly
Lower
not.
mid-table.
Yeah, they're certainly not. Like you wouldn't say right now that you would bet on Everton being relegated. Um,
No, no, definitely not.
but yeah, sort of we've already kind of covered Fulham, but I think they've been very heavily linked with Chalobah and Broja. Yeah, with the prices being sort of talked about with Broja, I don't know, but especially with Fulham, I just don't feel like they have those kind of funds. But if they want to sign Chalobah, I could definitely see that happening. I think it'd be quite a good rotation or even partner for one of Arabadio or Bassi. I think if they got Diop there as well at Fulham,
Um,
I
they
believe they,
definitely did at some point.
I believe he's still there.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe it's injury or something. Tim Ream still pops up occasionally.
Yeah, but have they got any? Yeah, why would they be signing Chalobah unless it's if they can afford it for depth, or maybe they want him to start. I'm not sure. Just look at their injury list, see who's out and who's not. Yeah, no, they're not out. So perhaps it is
Yeah.
just they want him for first team quality or rotation. Not sure. It's a good option either way.
Yeah, I mean he's quite a flexible player as well, I suppose.
Yeah, he's
He
played at
could,
DM before, hasn't he?
yeah, he can come into the midfield. Maybe if they're expecting Palhinha to leave either this window or in the summer, maybe they're thinking Chalobah can offer
Or even
something
just cover for him.
there. Yeah,
So yeah, sensible moves. Yeah, like Broja, if you can get him for less than 25, 20, I think it's worth it. But other than that, I think it's a big risk for them when they've already had a lot of strikers where they've tried to replace Mitrovic or tried to support him and they've just not worked out. Obviously, Jimenez is kind of working out right now. We're yet to see if he can keep this up for an extended period of time or at least get back to it after his ban. So yeah,
yeah,
we'll see what happens there. But not terrible business from Fulham if they can get any of it done. Liverpool, lots of links, lots of rumours, but ultimately the only thing that's happened of note is Carvalho coming back and then being loaned out to Hull. Um, so yeah, nothing to really talk about
yeah.
there.
Don't really expect them to do too much, really.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean when you're top of the league and outperforming what you thought you were going to be doing, I think just keep rolling
yeah,
with it and see what
they
happens.
already had a fairly kind of busy summer window in the end.
I wouldn't be
So
surprised if they brought in a defender though, just to cover at fullback
yeah, I
and
think I think if yeah, we'll either see them do absolutely nothing or some kind of random maybe kind of old player from some random place like Germany for 13 mil for defensive cover or something like that.
do you
But
mean
otherwise,
Kolasinac?
maybe yeah,
I did, yeah. For context, I put him forward as a Liverpool signing for January, one in, one out.
yeah. Was he your
Uh,
Liverpool one? Yeah,
yeah.
there you go. Maybe it's Kolasinac.
Well, I said he was at Hoffenheim or um, something like that, and he was at Hoffenheim years ago, but actually he's at Atalanta right now.
Oh.
Or if he might be on loan somewhere, but yeah, completely wrong. Either way, Luton. I think they've either recalled some players from loan and sent a couple out. People I've never heard of. Not really much to talk about there. It's hard with the Luton squad unless you're talking about known quantities. You don't really know what's going to happen to them because they're already quite an unknown quantity in themselves. So
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I don't recognise any of these players are Luton. So
yeah, I mean Luton fans, if you're watching, comment if it's good or not. I don't know.
sorry for knowing fuck all about your team.
Yeah. But we do like you. We want you to stay in the league. So there's that. City, they have signed a youngster called Alcala from, is it New York City FC or something?
No, LA Galaxy, I
LA
think.
Galaxy. Not, yeah, I don't know. Don't know anything about him. Probably promising because City have signed him, but not
Yeah,
going to affect their season really at all. Stefan's gone out and been sold finally.
yeah.
But
And then there was that is it Argentinian guy, youngster, who
Echeverry,
it's not been confirmed, but it's been sort of half confirmed for like the whole window.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that they might have agreed a fee, perhaps, or they've
yeah, it
agreed.
seemed to have been done ages ago, and now it's just kind of not officially gone through. But it seems like it's kind of done, or they will do it.
Yeah,
Um,
potentially. I hope not,
he looks
because I
very
don't.
promising.
They're just snapping up loads of young talent that they're just going to then sell or loan out to somewhere in Europe, and it's just going to be boring. Um,
Yeah,
I want them all to go to like mid-table Italian and German clubs, and then get sold on for like 30 mil to Villa in a
yeah.
couple of
I feel
years.
like that's kind of how it used to work. I feel like it used to be a more level playing field in terms of those kind of signings. But it does seem that there's a certain few clubs who have a bit of monopoly on it at the moment. Um,
Yeah,
I guess Brighton still make those signings, but then Brighton is still a Premier League club. You know, like Brighton, in terms of their resources, compared to Man City, they're nothing. But compared to mid-table Italian teams, for a mid-table Premier League team, you know, they're still miles ahead in terms of their ability to sign
yeah, absolutely.
promising players and stuff. So
United have done a lot of business selling. Is it Mesbury to? Is it? Wait, is it?
oh yeah, Hannibal, yeah,
Yeah, Hannibal to Sevilla. Is it?
um,
I think. Or
Sevilla,
well,
yeah.
it's a loan with an option to buy for like
I think
20
yeah,
mil.
yeah, yeah.
But he wasn't getting that much game time. Van der Beek has obviously gone to Eintracht Frankfurt out on loan. I think that's an option to buy as well. Um, Regulon, they've obviously cancelled that loan. I don't know if they have other plans. Is Malacia back? Is Shaw coming back? Is Dallo playing out there?
Shaw, I'm pretty sure Shaw is there and thereabouts the squad again.
Okay. Dallo's
I
been
don't know
playing
about
though as well.
Malasia. Yeah.
That makes sense
So
then.
yeah, if Shaw's back, they're okay. So that must be their thinking there. I mean, Region hadn't really been getting a look in, even when they had been light. So
Yeah. Sancho out as
um,
well.
yeah, Sancho.
Yeah, they really
Um,
need another winger, I think, or potentially another striker.
yeah, I mean, they obviously had big hopes for Hoyland. He's not quite reliable enough, really. He's obviously got signs and he's had
Has
goals here
he?
and there.
Is he just got injured? I think he might have just got injured. You know.
Really, like a bad.
Yeah, because I saw a news article saying like who United could replace Hoyland with. Um,
Right. I mean, he played
doesn't say anything.
90 minutes against Tottenham.
Yeah, perhaps it's just shoddy journalism. Uh, why would you replace your brand new striker?
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to replace him, but like they could still use an option there.
Yeah, perhaps they meant rotation.
Martial is obviously still kicking around, and there's rumours of him leaving. Um, but yeah, they could do with a better rotation option other than Martial up front. Um, yeah, they're pretty light in attack. They're kind of light in midfield,
There's no
but is
strong
that
links
just
to anyone at the
injuries?
moment either. Um,
No.
it's just been random rumours popping up here and there. So yeah, United looking pretty bleak, but at least you got rid of Van der Beek. Hey. So yeah, we'll move on. Newcastle also looking pretty bleak in transfer terms. FFP's been on their arse. I say that they've just sort of been working within the confines. Although I haven't read the details of this at all, but hasn't their chairman just been sued for like 70 mil because of some malicious instruction thing?
I saw that. Yeah, I didn't really understand exactly what he'd actually been charged for. It was like it was all this jargon that I didn't understand.
Well, has
But
he been charged or has he been sued? Because they're very different things.
oh, I don't know. Let's have a look.
I'm pretty sure he's being sued, not charged. If he's being charged and fined 74 mil, then it must be serious.
Yeah, it's a lawsuit, so he's being
Okay.
sued by someone.
Yeah, probably just.
Carried out the instructions with of. So he's been facing a lawsuit for allegedly having carried out the instructions of Saudi Arabia's crown prince with malicious intent.
Ooh, that's not good. Anyway, it's not transfer business, so we're going to ignore it for now. I think Lascelles they've received an offer for Lascelles, I believe. Um, I'm not sure who it was from or what kind of offer it is, but if it's a bit of cash, I think they take it. Probably not a good idea in terms of the squad building, just because they're so light, but they've got so many
Yeah,
injuries.
I don't think they. I think they'd be slightly. foolish to let him go at this point because he's been playing quite a lot. Obviously,
Depends
they've
on
got a
what
very
kind of money
settled
it is.
centre back partnership. Yeah, it does. It does a bit. Yeah, they can obviously. He's not irreplaceable because he is just a backup option. But yeah, bit of a risky one to let go in the middle of the season, I think. Um, who apparently have made an offer?
I didn't see. Well, I just saw an article that someone's offered for him. I didn't see exactly what it
No,
was.
right. Okay.
Manquillo, I believe, has gone. I can't remember if he's gone out on loan or if he's been sold, but he's gone. He didn't play anyway, and they've got two right backs better than him, so
Yeah.
it's not really going to affect their season too much.
No.
On to Forest, they've sold Scarpa back to Atletico Mineiro, but again, he wasn't playing that much. They've got a lot of players in midfield at this point and in those attacking sort of winger positions, so yeah, won't be too much of a burden to their season. And obviously Santos has gone back again.
Yeah.
Similar story with him. Um, won't be too much of a sort of a shocker to the system. I haven't seen any big rumours for them, but again, FFP they
Yeah.
look
Well,
like they
they're not going to be
might
doing
be.
anything, are they? They're
Yeah, are they
potentially
getting
being charged or
charged?
something.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if they get a points deduction, I don't see them surviving.
No, I mean if it's 10 points, like Everton, I mean they're in big trouble, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, if they get docked onto less points than Luton Town, I don't see them getting more points than Luton for the rest of the season.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, if they got docked 10 points now, they'd be 6 points behind Luton. So I think, yeah, I don't see them making that up. I think they probably will get more points than Luton from here until the end of the season, whether they're docked points or not. But I don't think they'd make up 6 points, which is what it would be if it was 10 point deduction. But obviously, don't know what the actual details of their situation is.
Boo's getting restless. I've been stroking it for pretty much this entire episode, but now she's getting entitled. Every time I stop touching her, she's like, "No,
Oh
I
dear.
want more." Anyway, moving on. Sheffield United, obviously bringing in Ben Brereton Diaz, uh, could be the answer to some problems. I don't think he'll cause them to survive, but he may give them a little bit more of an edge in an attacking sense. He may work well in partnership with, why have I forgotten, Archer, and they could actually score a few goals, and they might perhaps be able to compete with the
They could
Lutons and the
actually
Burnleys.
score a few goals.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, good signing, I think. Good player. Like you say, probably not gonna lead them to survival, but will improve them. I think they've got a load of outs, none of which I've heard of. These players. Um,
yeah. I didn't put them down because I just had no real knowledge of who they were. It's kind of similar story with Luton. Um, just cool, nice. Hope it
yeah.
works out for you. don't know much
Um,
about him. Boo, what are you doing?
so then we've got Tottenham after Sheffield, who are like the winners of the window by far
Well, they're the most
currently.
active. Whether they're going to be the winners or not depends on how the players actually play. They've obviously brought
Obviously.
Spence back. Oh, right, I'm going to have to release Boo because she's about to tear my headphones out of my ear. Relax.
Oh God. Oh God.
Jesus Christ. Um,
Stupid dog.
yeah, so Spurs, yeah, they brought Spence back, brought Werner in, brought Dragashan, I don't know how you say it, but they've done business. So they've got decent backup at right back now. Did they have anyone?
Spence has gone back
Emerson
out
there
to
around.
Genoa as part of the
Oh, has he?
Dragic deal.
Oh,
Yeah,
right. I didn't hear that.
yeah,
Okay. All right. So they'll keep Emerson in. Emerson Royale. He's been decent to be fair recently.
yeah. It's fine as rotational backup.
Obviously Werner, we've spoken about how he's probably going to be a good contributor, but he's definitely not going to fill anyone's boots who's left in recent weeks for international tournaments, etc., or injury. But yeah, decent squad signing. Dragashan has looked very, very good this year. Obviously, still very new on the European scene, so who knows whether he's going to be able to replicate that long term. Based on what his agent says, yes, but his agent's pretty biased. So, because his agent's already talking about the fact that he's going to be leaving Tottenham in like 3 or 4 years to go to Real Madrid or Bayern.
God.
So, someone like that. So, yeah, strange from his agent to do that when he's just signed for a new club. But do what you're going to do. Maybe he is that good. Obviously, they've sold Dyer to Bayern. I think it's probably a good move for them, having brought in another centre back, and the fact that he just didn't really suit them at all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
not much else to
Dyer,
say
yeah,
there.
moving Dyer's on a good move. Tanganga's gone on loan. Uh,
The Reese is gone
Raycon's
for
gone out on
free.
loan. Reece is gone. Yeah, yeah. So absolutely loads of movement compared to everybody else who's basically done nothing.
I'd say based
Um,
on what they have done, you'd expect potentially another left back to come in because Ben Davies is covering two positions as backup there, and then in terms of goalkeeper, I don't know if they have a good backup goalkeeper now.
well, Ben Davis, now they've signed Dragishan, will only be covering left back. He won't have to cover centre back anymore, right?
Well, you know how you were talking about having four centre backs. If Tanganga's not there anymore, you're now and Dyer's not there anymore. You're looking at Romero and Dragishin right side, and then just Mickey Van der Ven left side, with Ben Davis as left back and left centre back cover. As
Um,
long as I'm not mistaken about who else they've got in the squad.
yeah, I suppose it is a bit thin. I think Dragishan's left-footed, but he
Oh,
can
is he? I
play.
thought he was right footed. Sorry.
Yeah, but he can play either side. He's played like across a back three before. But yeah, they don't have. They
Okay,
still
so
do
yeah,
anyway.
probably another centre back they probably need there.
That would probably be a long term thing for them, though, won't it? Can't imagine they'll do another.
Well, they might get someone cheap in. They might do a loan similar to what Longley is like.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Do they have a backup goalkeeper notable in the squad, or is it just some youth player? Or...
Fraser Forster.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's not terrible. He had some good games last year, didn't he?
Yeah,
I
it'd be
forgot he was
fine
there.
for them. Yeah.
So yeah, no other big rumours I've heard really at the moment. I mean,
No.
I heard it just today or yesterday. There was a story about City wanting to bring back Porro and Louise, and they're ready to pay 200
Yeah, I
million
saw
in the
that.
summer. But
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe that, to be honest.
No. No, it's just.
Especially with what these charges could end up being. I mean,
Hmm.
there might not be a club for them to come back to by the next summer, so we'll see what happens there.
I hope so.
Everything about Man City right now is a hypothetical, to be honest, until those charges are resolved.
God,
Um,
that'd be nice. Imagine if they just got dissolved.
I
I
wouldn't
would
want them to be
enjoy that.
dissolved because, like, at the end of the day, while the money and everything and the success is a very recent thing, like there's still a historic past behind that club with
Yeah,
big,
yeah,
a relatively big fan base that would still like to watch their team play. So
yeah.
perhaps not dissolve them, but it's definitely shoot them in the foot a few times. Um, West Ham, how are we feeling about West Ham and their business? Kerr's gone out. Is it on loan? I think.
Yeah, loaned Monaco.
So yeah, that's. I mean, they don't have a ton of defensive cover, if I'm not mistaken, especially if Agaird's out at international duty. That just leaves them with
Uh,
Zuma.
well, they play Cresswell at centre back sometimes.
it's just not. It's not really
When
enough,
they
is it?
play in a three, they play him at like left centre back. Zuma, they've got that Greek guy with a
Oh,
mad Greek name,
yeah, Mavropanos.
Mavropanos or something.
Mavropanos, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, it's not enough though, is it? If Agaird's away, Kerr has been sold.
Oh, Ogbonna.
Oh, Ogbona's there. Okay, they might be all right.
Yeah, they're kind of okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially they don't seem they've got virtually no injuries so far this year. So
yeah, they've got no one out. Their squad's quite settled. Don't really expect them to do anything, to be honest.
well, Ben Rama's been linked with moves away. Marseille have made a bid,
Yeah, I did see
been
that. Yeah,
rejected. That might make an improved offer. Broja and Phillips, as we've spoken about, have been linked, uh, fairly heavy links, but whether there's going to be a move to be made there, I think Phillips is less likely just because they already have Suchek and Eddie Alvarez. which are pretty solid.
Yeah,
And then obviously Ward-Prowse to play next to them. So when the likes of Paqueta and Kadouche are back, it's pretty decent, and they've got Fornals there as well. So it's probably more likely to be Broja than anyone. But again, similar story with Fulham. If the price isn't right, I don't see it happening.
no, no. Yeah, I agree. I just can't really see anything which is an immediate need. I think if Ben Rama left, they'd probably go and sign someone of a kind of similar profile, maybe someone relatively unknown, kind of cheap option, kind of looking towards the future.
I think
But
they'd put that money towards a striker. They're more in need of a striker than anything.
yeah, true. Yeah, striker they are quite light.
Because Antonio's out. Ings, if he's even at the club anymore, is just fallen off a
Yeah, he
cliff.
played against Bristol City.
Oh god. Yeah, he's just fallen off a cliff. Because he got soon after he moved, he kind of showed some promise and got those two goals. In I can't remember who he played against. Might have been Brighton. I'm not sure. Um, and then yeah, just has been almost non-existent since. Um, so yeah, not much going on for West Ham. Not too many big rumours other than that. So Wolves, moving on again. They've let Kalajdzic go out on loan to Frankfurt and Silva out on loan to Rangers. So they are a striker short or two.
Yeah, Fabio Silva to Rangers is an interesting one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He's really just not succeeded anywhere he's been thus far.
No, he has
But
such massive potential at one point, but
well, Wolves thought so, but did anyone else? That's the question.
I think a lot of people did, to be fair. Um, but yeah, it's just not really happened for him. Uh, in his defence, to be fair, he's came in at Wolves when he was very young, and he was expected to be like in and around the first team, and he was never kind of maybe never given the kind of first team opportunities somewhere that a player maybe needs at that kind of age. I mean, he's still only 21. To be fair, he's still got plenty of time to
Yeah, it's
find
hard
his
not to
role in the
succeed at
club.
Rangers as well if you can actually play football. So
Yeah, that's the thing. It could be the kind of perfect place for him to get loads of game time, play against some kind of teams that are worse than you, but still also like physically and stuff very competitive. And then you've got Celtic games and
yeah,
the
build some
occasional
confidence.
like Hearts, Aberdeen games and stuff, which are still quite competitive. So it could be a good move for him.
Yeah. In terms of links, it's been very soft links with Broja and Garassi. They haven't been quite as strong as other teams, so yeah, I haven't really put much else. I think
I
that
got
with
nothing on Wolves.
with the players they sold in summer to balance their books, it's no surprise that they're not exactly uh, you know tearing doors down to get players. So
No,
meh, but they're doing well, and I think they'll keep doing well for probably at least the majority of the rest of the season, and finish in a decent mid-table spot if Gary O'Neill is still having his sausages and cups of tea. Oh wait, sorry, that was on the last episode. It wasn't in this episode. That won't hold any
yeah.
relevance. Oh well. So yeah, that's the league. We're still just under an hour, so we could either quit now or we can talk about Villa rumours.
I
What
reckon we
matters
do
more?
a quick 10 minutes of Villa rumours.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, if you're not interested in Villa rumours, you might as well leave now. And at least in your head, we have done a second episode in a row under an hour. So there you go. This is the beginning of the end. Bye bye. Now, anyone I'm talking to now should be a Villa fan. You rock, cool lads. Let's go.
Thanks, Dad.
No, I'm not talking to you, mate. You're all fucking sad. Sorry.
Thanks, Dad.
You did say that I was a good turd earlier, so there you go. I get one
Yeah,
back.
it's not a compliment. It wasn't intended to be
I,
complimentary. To be
well,
honest.
I had to take it well, otherwise it would have been. Never mind. I can't talk. Villa rumours, right, back on track. Let's talk about players we've been linked with. Giovanni Reina, we mentioned him briefly at the start.
Gio
He,
Reyna, yeah.
for the price, would be a sensational signing. Where would he play?
Yeah.
Shit. I just remembered something. Um, I think it's Fiorentina are keen on Zaniolo as a mid-season signing.
I saw that. Yeah,
That
yeah,
could be that could be a sensational swap. Get a lone player out who's done nothing apart from scored 2 goals against crappy teams, and bring in one of the hottest prospects in Europe for a minimal fee. Like, that's pretty good business if it happens.
yeah. I think everyone would be pretty happy with that one. I mean, Gio Reyna is just one where you just can't really say no for like £12 million.
Yeah,
He's obviously there is question marks around his like performance over the last couple of years and his attitude and stuff like that. But he's still been putting up kind of good numbers, even if his game time's been limited the last couple of years. And he was a few years ago one of the most hot prospects around. Yeah, can't really say no for that money. And yeah, Zaniolo, I don't know. I mean, that's just a rumor with Fiorentina.
it is
I
just
wouldn't
a
mind.
rumor, but we are just talking about rumors, so it's
Yeah,
all
well,
good.
yeah, yeah. I wouldn't mind keeping him around. Like I don't like. Obviously, we haven't got any money invested in him at the moment, so there's no need to sell him from a
I don't
financial
want us
point of
to
view. But
I don't want us to invest any money in him because I know how much he's going to cost if we do.
yeah, well, that's the thing. Like Zaniolo is fine as an option, but there is it's if we meet certain criteria, we have to pay loads of money for him,
Yeah, it
which
ends up being like 40 mil, doesn't it? I'm pretty sure we
I
worked
think
it
it's
out.
32.5 is what I saw, but that's not including any money we've already put down on him. I think so.
Or add-ons, is it? I don't know. It's
Yeah,
just far too much. I think it ends up being like
yeah,
40 million euros at least, which for what he's actually been able to produce is nowhere near worth it. So if he leaves to facilitate the Rayner move, then I'm all for that. Um, Other
yeah,
moves,
yeah.
obviously, I mean, we've got this guy Kilishoy. I don't know how you say it. From Besiktas. Supposedly, we
Oh
are
yeah.
ready to offer, or preparing an offer, according to some rumours. Which certainly it's not a strong link, but it's with what I saw from the player, it's promising. He's a two-footed winger who's a bit of a goal scorer. I think he's got 7 goal contributions in 8 Super League games so far this year as an 18-year-old. Just jumping onto the scene, that is pretty sensational stuff. Um, it looks to have like really good control of the ball, low centre of gravity. Yeah, looks great. I don't know if he'd play straight away or if he'd get a sort of loan deal or if he'd
Yeah, I
rotate,
don't
but
know. How old is he? Is he 18?
yeah, 18. Yeah, so he's proper
Yeah.
youngster.
Yeah, it's interesting because we've got links with him. We've got Rooney Bargi.
Yeah, Rooney Bargi as well.
We've got Gio Reyna as well. So they're all kind of attacking midfield slash forward players. All quite young, all relatively cheap. So seems like we're after a player of that profile. Um,
Yeah, Bargi and Kilishoy are kind of these like very, very direct wingers who seem to have some sort of striker instincts, whereas Rayner's more of this kind of attacking midfielder winger who's just sensational at taking players on and carrying the ball, and does seem to have a good finish as well.
yeah, he's kind of more of a progressive midfielder, and the others are kind of more inside forward type players, I suppose. But yeah, I don't know whether we're looking at a kind of first team players or whether they're in mind for the future and they'll get a loan next year or something. I don't know. I think I don't know. There's not really space for them in the squad right now, and you wouldn't want to hamper their progression at 18 years old. But at the same time, if we move Traore on, um, there is probably space for one more player in that kind of attacking midfield forward
Yeah,
lineup.
yeah. Because I mean, if you look at the
So
left side, we're pretty much limited to Zaniolo, Ramsey, and then the right side, as long as Diaby's playing up top, we're pretty much limited to Bailey and McGinn. And
yeah,
although McGinn's been great there, he'd probably be better more centrally, where he's got a bit more freedom to roam. So if you can sign someone who can cover one of those sort of left or right attacking midfield spots,
yeah. We've got
even if it's
Buendia as
Baka.
well, which is another thing to think about. Is uh, yeah, how much of a role is Buendia going to play when he comes
Yeah.
back?
Well, when is his due date?
I think before the end of this season.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a
Um,
quick look because
I think it might
footballers
be
usually
March or
pretty good
something.
with their injury predictions. So Buendia, early February.
What?
That's what it's saying. That's what FOTMob is
Yeah, I
saying.
mean, I've seen footage of him in the gym the last couple of weeks and stuff. I think I have read a few things about his recovery going a little bit ahead of schedule, better than first anticipated.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, if he is kind of back to being able to train in February, then maybe you'd expect middle of March, early March to be in and around the squad. If that is if kind of early Feb is more or less true.
yeah,
Um,
that would be crazy if he's back that soon.
yeah, I mean, I read a few things that it was March, so I suppose it's not a million miles away. I
Yeah,
think it is a not as bad an injury as Mings, definitely. I think they were expecting him before the end of the season at least. So, but then it's a long injury, whether it'll actually have any impact. But yeah, in terms of transfers, yeah, we seem to be looking for players in that kind of area, but we have got Buendia coming back, who was starting to find his form a little bit before he got injured. He had a really good preseason, and he's still one of our most expensive signings ever.
yeah.
Um, so you've got to expect that as long as he does come back from his injury at the same level that he was, you've got to expect that he's going to play a part in the team unless we
Oh
sell him, I
yeah,
suppose.
yeah.
Um,
There's
so yeah,
supposedly an update 7 days ago about him, but the article is behind a paywall, so I can't actually. Oh wait, it's not now. Quick, let me see before it covers it up. Okay, well apparently this here they're saying there's no expectation for him to come back before the end of the season, so there's mixed
oh,
information.
okay.
Mixed information. FOTMob saying one thing, and then that random article from a website I've never heard of saying another. So who knows? Probably somewhere in the middle, as you say. Um,
Yeah.
any other moves we've been linked with? Any other players? I can't think. Moreno's been rumoured out,
Mm,
which I didn't like, for 8 million, which I
no, I mean
liked even
that's
less.
just shit.
Yeah,
Ugh,
that's
nothing in that.
there's got to be
Nothing in
bollocks.
that.
There's got to be bollocks.
Yeah.
I
Um,
think to be fair, most of them we put in our little chat. So I'm just going to go back and see.
True. Yeah.
Is there any we've missed
Oh,
off,
actually,
or has there
we've
been
got
any
news.
popping
We
up?
got transfer news
Have we
as the pod is happening.
live news incoming? We've stepped
Yeah,
this show
it's
up.
not big news. It's
Oh
not big news.
damn
Sorry,
it! What is it?
just hyped you up for nothing there. It's
Damn it!
Rico Richards has gone out on loan.
Brilliant. Where's he gone?
Well, he's gone to Stockport, which is actually a really promising move, to be fair, because they're top of League Two, and I feel like going to a team that's in good form, high confidence, scoring goals for a young player is absolutely perfect.
Yeah, not a bad move. I feel like
Yeah,
he's a money making project. I don't think he'll ever get near the first team. I think he's one of those we've signed. We kind of do it a lot. We sign players for when they're like 19, 18, 19 from West Brom and go,
yeah,
come to Villa. And then like 3 years later, we're like, nah, 5 mil, please. And
yeah,
it
pretty
works,
much.
fair enough. It makes money,
Yeah.
but it's a bit sad at the same time.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, that's just kind of just how I think we're just copying the model of top teams and how their academies work. Really, you just suck up the talent from the local area.
Yeah,
If any of them happen to be good enough, great. If not, they move on for a little bit of money. But I think, yeah, a big good move for him. And the thing with these young players is they always have got the potential to be first team prospects. So it's always like nice keeping an eye on them. And yeah, getting loaned to the top of the league in League Two is a pretty good move.
yeah, wouldn't be bad. I'm just looking through see if we've had any other rumours, but I can't see any that we've talked about.
No, I mean it's there's not been
That we
any
haven't
in kind of
mentioned.
defensive midfield or right back really, which is
Yeah, it's been.
areas where we thought we potentially would be looking. I think the main revealing thing about this January window is that we're a bit more hampered by FFP than we knew. We've clearly got to move players on if we're going to sign players, and um, the club's going to prioritise doing business in summer because it's just easier and players are better value and at the end of the contracts and blah
I,
blah
I,
blah.
I don't
So
think we're in as much trouble as people are making out. I think Emery was being conservative when he said, of course, we have to keep in mind FFP. He never actually said we're close, and he never said we're one in, one out because of FFP. He just said we have to stay in line with FFP, and we're working on a one in, one out policy because we want two good players in each position sort of thing. So he's not actually stated that we're struggling with FFP. He just said we need to keep in line with it, and we're working one in, one out at the moment, which also makes sense
Yeah.
because of the size of the squad. We have a lot of players, so I don't think it's something to be too worried about. The fact that we're still being linked
No, I
with
mean,
players as well.
I'm not worried. It's just clearly we're kind of a little bit more restricted than we thought. Probably.
I think
I'm not worried in terms of like a
it's been blown up in the
sanctions
media
kind
a
of
lot. I
thing.
think because obviously we're playing really well at the moment, and a lot of people are sort of doubting us and wanting us to not perform, continue to perform because we're taking spots away from other teams. So as soon as things come out where it's like, oh, they're struggling, we can go and sign Louise. They're going to lose this player, that player. They're not going to finish the season the way they wanted. I think a lot of teams, a lot of outlets and things jump onto that because it's like it's a way to bring someone down, and media likes to report the negative stuff and bring people down more. And I noticed that that was one of the first articles I saw as soon as he mentioned anything about FFP was an article that came out about why Arsenal can now sign Douglas Luiz, and it's like, well, no, that's not
Yeah.
it's not what's happening, is it? And I think it is just a bit of a media storm, and he didn't reveal anywhere near as much as to say that we're actually heavily restricted at the moment. So, yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, does the lack of signings not suggest that we are restricted to some extent?
it depends
The
why.
only team that
Depends why.
signed more than £5 million worth of players is Tottenham this window.
Yeah,
So I think clearly clubs are restricted by FFP more than. I mean, well, they just are restricted by FFP
to be
more than
fair,
we've seen
it
in
is.
previous seasons potentially.
I think it's more to do with the fact that we're coming to the end of the 3 year period, and that the FFP regulations have been more strictly enforced than ever before, which
Yeah,
is why teams are being so much more conservative in this window compared to others. Whereas once we get to next year, it's the start of the next 3 year cycle, or we've just entered the next sort of 3 year cycle, especially after we get past April, because that's the end of the financial year at least. So if that's going to be the case, then I think next summer will be probably one of our biggest outlays for a while, depending on how things go in the Champions League, if we get there, etc. So
yeah. I mean that'll be a big one. Champions League qualification.
I think it's partly to do with timing, and also could partly be to do with uh, how much money teams have spent. But the fact that all teams pretty much have quietened down at the same time, just as all this FFP talk has become so much more dominant in the media, I think it is partly just timing, not necessarily that all of a sudden everyone's struggling with it. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, well, yeah. I don't think teams are struggling. I just think it's that the rules are coming into play in the way they're intended.
Yeah,
Basically, where clubs are having to consider their revenue, consider player sales more carefully than they would have had to in the past. They can't just go out and spend and be bankrolled by rich owners and stuff. They've got to be considerate about it.
but yeah.
But
Anyway,
yeah, I
if
mean,
we can finish on that boring note.
nothing else to fucking talk about. We still
Wait,
haven't had a new badge, man.
yeah, let's talk about Jose Mourinho as a nice fun
God's
end,
sake.
because I
Jose
saw a
Mourinho.
nice YouTube title from, I think it was the Athletic, or it was Tifo or the Athletic, I can't remember, where they said, "Is Mourinho still special?" And every time I read it, even though I knew it had nothing to do with it, I just kept thinking about disabilities. I don't know why. I just couldn't get it out of my head. I was just like, "Yeah, he
Yeah.
is," and I'm like, "No, he isn't. What are you doing?" um, but yeah, what do you think about the sacking? Like,
I don't know. I mean, they've not been performing very well, so
where are they in the league? Do you know?
they're like ninth or tenth. It's one of their worst starts to a season in
Yeah,
recent times.
that's fair enough.
Um, but he seemed to have a really good connection with the supporters, and he'd won them a trophy, first trophy in a long time.
Yeah,
Um, and they're not a club that spends a load of money either. So you know how high can your aspirations be? Like they're still within a kind of range where they could finish sixth or seventh or somewhere where they'd rather be or would expect to be. So I don't know. It's one of them where you kind of would expect it to happen
yeah,
when they're tenth in the league or ninth in the league. Sorry, but at the same time they're within 5 points of fifth place. and he had a good connection with the fans. He won them a trophy. You know,
Probably not deserved. I think it was a nice,
probably not.
not retirement home for him, but it kind of had that vibe of like he'd been across Europe,
Bit
he'd
harsh.
been successful, won all these trophies, and then he's kind of taken a step back, gone to Roma, where there's a bit less expectation, not as much recent history of success, where he built that kind of connection with the fans and focused on not so much on just trying to dominate everything and try and build something. Um, and it's a shame to see that end because they were, it like, forgive me for my language, but there were good vibes there. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bit. Yeah, it was kind of a fun. It was a fun thing to happen, Mourinho at Roma.
Could
But
be Newcastle's next manager, maybe.
yeah, well, that was my initial thought. Was like he'd be the perfect villain character to go into Newcastle. Like he'd connect with the fans. He'd make them an absolute bastard of a team to play, which Newcastle would love.
I don't think he'd be the villain character. I think he's turned into like the kind, fun granddad now. Do you know what I mean?
Well, he is a little bit, but he still has Mourinhoisms. You know, like he was constantly getting sent off at Roma. Um, I mean, like he wouldn't be as much of a villain as he could be when he was at Chelsea because part of him being such a villain at Chelsea was that he was winning everything,
And
and
his
that made
arrogance. His
everyone hate
arrogance
him.
was the main thing.
Yeah,
Not that
but
he
he
won. He was
have
just
that at
yeah,
Newcastle because they wouldn't be winning the league,
yeah.
but he'd turn them into that. You know, when a club has that kind of aura about them where it's like them against the world, he would embody that perfectly at Newcastle. So that would be fun, but like I don't know whether it'd actually be practically
Or Everton if
um,
Dyche goes.
the right move.
I think
Dyche,
I
Everton.
yeah. Ancelotti went there, so don't tell me it can't happen.
Right, different circumstances though. They were trying to get in the top four when Ancelotti was going there.
Were they? I'm pretty sure they were still hanging about like mid-table kind of range when.
They were, but that was the era where they spent loads and loads of money that put them in the trouble they're in now. They were fifth in the league for a long time when Ancelotti was in charge, and then they dropped towards the end of the season. But that's when they bought James Rodriguez, and
Oh yeah,
yeah,
what a
they spent
disaster
loads of
that
money in
was.
that period. Yeah.
Anyway, right, let's knock this on the head. We've gone over the hour and talked
What do you
some
mean,
football.
Mourinho to Everton?
Look, we're getting into hypotheticals now. This
It's
is
the
no longer
call
a
of the
transfer
century,
show.
mate. It's going to be announced tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think the squad would suit him. I think it would. How defensive and physical they
Yeah,
are.
maybe. I
I
mean,
think
it's
he'd turn
kind of
Calvert Lewin into bloody Cavani, mate. Or better, to be fair.
maybe. Yeah, I suppose they've got some physical people. He likes that.
Yeah,
Uh, he'd
yeah,
like
that's
to
about
Corey.
it, really.
He'd like to Corey's running.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway, we're ending this now.
anyway,
That's it. That's it. We're ending this. No more talk. It's all action from now, and the action is bye. No, actually, no,
goodbye.
that's not a good enough outro. So I'm just gonna say, have a good day. We love you at the FB
It's the end of the
podcast.
day. It's 6 p.m. It's the evening.
Ignore him. He's a